Good morning. Thanks to Gregory Oh for providing the music this morning and also providing Suzanne with a day off. My name is Gordon Thorne, and I have your announcements this morning. So, the gallery is up on the mezzanine here, and the current show continues until May 26th. Sunday, June 2nd, from 12 noon, pretty much after service, to 1 p.m., there will be an AGM Part 2. We'll be voting on accepting our 2023 financial statements and indebtedness report. Please join us to complete this last piece of AGM business. The Caring Circle. I'm going to ask Pat to come up and just say a word about the Caring Circle.
The Caring Circle has begun. We have met, and we are in the creative process of putting that together. And if you're interested in being a volunteer, it's a fairly simple process. We're meeting, and we will meet bi-weekly, and we will reach out to people in the congregation with letters, cards, calls, and try to make sure that that everyone is in the net.
Thank you, Reverend Pat. Interfaith Pride Fair on June 1st between 1 and 3. This is an event hosted by Eastminster, which is our other congregation on the other side, here at 310 Danforth, and there'll be various leaders of welcoming religious organizations participating. I invite you to be part of that. And all of these things will be going out in Monday's email blast. Conversations on Racism in Canada, and that's today. And then again on June 16th at 1 p.m. until 2:30. So the Reverend Patricia Trudeau and Dr. Wilburn Hayden will be speaking. Participants will be able to engage in discussion of interpersonal and systemic racism in Canada. The goal is to foster deeper understanding necessary for moving towards dismantling effects of white supremacy and colonialism. Thank you. Exploring the origins of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in Rafos Hall, that's where we are at the moment, on Sunday, June 9th, from 2 to 2:30. We have a number of presenters. Dr. Rev Jones, who's the Assistant Professor of Religious Studies at McMaster University, and Sheikh Youssef Badat, who is the Imam of the Islamic Foundation of Toronto. And following that presentation, there will be a discussion on ways we can support one another through these very uncertain times. And I'd like to just thank the Danforth Multi-Faith Commons, which is the group that Neighborhood and the Danforth Jewish Circle and Eastminster United are all a part of for organizing this event. Coffee Committee is calling out for volunteers. Donate goods, crackers, cheese, fruit, vegetables, just about anything. Even better, sign up to host a Sunday and give Linda a Sunday off. I'm sure Linda will appreciate that. Please speak to Linda after service. Town Hall, Sunday service feedback. It says today, is it happening today? Okay, 26th. From 12:30 to 2 p.m. This is how we're putting together our services for next year, and we want your input. So you've got any ideas about what you would like to see, hear, or experience when we come together each week? The Sunday Service Planning Team is holding a town hall to solicit feedback about this year's services and themes and hear your ideas for next year's congregation, as I said. We'll also get an update on the current interim minister search and a new evening service initiative. Come out and help shape another year of spiritual growth and exploration in the community. Council of All Beings Workshop. This is June 15th between 10:30 and 5 p.m. Now, that's not happening here. That's actually happening down in Bain Co-op, which is Bain and Logan area. Gather in this community ritual to speak on behalf of the non-human world and receive their gifts to continue healing and protecting our planet. This is a workshop that's facilitated by our own Bruce Line and Natalie Zen and Dr. Larry Nussbaum. Every week, our services are created by our staff and volunteers. Suzanne Mazars is our music director. Julia Thompson is our lifespan learning director. The Reverend Pat Trudeau is our contract minister. Today, Gordon Thorne, that's me. I'm your service weaver. And Joanne Strakowski is our AV desk, wonderful person. And far in the back in the minister's office, Mark Tim is hosting our Zoom. And we thank our greeters, our money counters, our lifespan learning volunteers, and our kitchen fairies, all of whom are named in the cappuccino room at the back. Next Sunday, May 26th, the monthly theme of the Spirit of Creativity continues, and our own Reverend Pat Trudeau will be doing part 2 of the message that she's starting today, which is nurturing creativity in ordinary life. Music will be provided by our own Suzanne and Shilpa Sharma, who is a mezzo-soprano and has sung for us before. The service weaver will be Jillian Newcomb, and the time for all ages will again be provided by Julia Thompson. Right, the announcements are over with. So, we welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service, and I thank you for joining us, whether you're here in person or with us on Zoom. Good morning. I'll be your service weaver this morning. We start today's service by creating a sacred space. So let's start with electronics. Sacred space is fragile and easily destroyed by ringing and distracting devices, so please turn them off now. I invite you now to join me in reading our invocation. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Now, it's time to light our chalice, and I invite Katerina to come up and to light it for us. We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our hearts. Thank you. I'd now turn it over to Gregory to play the prelude.
Hello. Sorry, I put a couple of things in the piano and I forgot. Oh yeah, for the chalice lighting, it'll actually sound a little weird. So piano might sound a little weird. This is a piece by John Cage, and I picked it because I looked at the sermon, which was about creativity through ordinary things and small things, and John Cage basically took the piano and with about 7 screws and 3 binder clips, turned it into a completely different instrument. So this is called Primitive. It was commissioned as a dance piece. So it was danced to in New York City. Here we go.
Wow. That's wonderful. As we gather today, we acknowledge this land, the people, as well as as the ancestors. This land has been the territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Mississaugas. The territory was the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Anishinaabe Nation and the Haudenosaunee Nation to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in community. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations, sharing stories and telling the truth of this place. And now, we continue in sacred space. Our themes this month are being actively, the themes this month are being actively creative, being actively engaged. I was gonna give myself one thing to screw up this morning, and this is it. Actively engaged is the overarching theme, and then this month's theme is embracing the spirit of creativity. Now, Reverend Lynn Harrison spoke about the world of creativity to be found in composing a song. And last week, Lauren Renzetti engaged us in an art project, which is still on the wall at the back. Kathleen Ray led us in a movement painting. Now, these are all creative goals that anyone can achieve. And as much as we revere superstar pop singers and superstar painters and ballet dancers, creativity is not just the exclusive domain of those who achieve fame and fortune. It's possible to embrace the spirit of creativity in everyday life. Even for me, who has dug deep ruts of routine in my life, there are ways of looking at the world and our lives from a fresh angle. Even as I was putting this script together, I thought about changing the position and flow of the words in the presentation of a service that some of you might be able to recite in your sleep. Why not wait a while to state our mission? Can empowering spiritual growth and shared action for the care of the world be done with a little creativity? That's why we are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. That's why we welcome all people looking for spiritual community. Our spiritual community would sink into deadening repetition without the revitalizing effect of creativity. Our services can vary from week to week because we are always looking for new ways to worship. If you're visiting us in person for the first time, we encourage you to stay after service for coffee time. Take a red mug and get into a creative discussion. In the words of Marcus Layford in this reworking of the Sermon on the Mount, you who are makers of beauty, of paintings and pottery and sculpture, blessed is the making. You who make the hands and hearts and minds, who make out of breath and bone and blood human lives, blessed are the makers. Blessed are those who make us laugh, who make jokes and faces and toys. Blessed are those who make messes, who make trouble and friends, and when needed, make up. Blessed are those who make do, who make it last, who make it work, make beds, and make time for others. Blessed are those who make love, who make out, and can make more, and make mistakes. Blessed are those who make coffee and tea, who make conversation, who make meaning in the face of tragedy, who make merriment and awaken joy. Blessed are those who make peace, for they shall inherit the earth. So now it's a time to turn and greet your neighbors. Don't do it just yet. After you've greeted a few neighbors, turn to the camera at the back, either that one or there's a new one over there, and offer a greeting to those who join us virtually. I'll sound a chime to end. Now, take a moment to greet the neighbors around you. I invite you to take your seats. Gregory, would you like to play our first song?
Sure, and let's sing this twice through. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, till be in the valley of love and delight, where true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, by turning we come round. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, till be in the valley of love and delight, where true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I would love to invite any children to come and join. That would be wonderful. Children of heart, yes. Yes, thank you. Well, the story that I'm going to share with you, read to you today, is by an author called Gianna Davey. And she's a visual artist, and she teaches art to people of all ages and ability. And I really like her message of open creativity and advocating for our own special uniqueness and that of others. So I will begin. Oh, and it is illustrated. Actually, she did not do the illustrations, and I'm wondering, since she's a visual artist, why she didn't choose to illustrate her own book. Maybe some of you, any of you who have ideas about that, talk to me after, or you, yes?
I think she wanted to be unique and not put any pictures.
Ah, I love that. You thought that she wanted to be unique, and so she didn't want to put any pictures. Maybe she wanted people to imagine them or something. But somebody else did the pictures. Maybe she thought that they had the kind of vision that she wanted to create for the story. Who knows? We will enjoy the story. Who Owns the Colors by Gianna Davey, illustrations by Brenda Rodriguez. If pink is for girls, then it's also for squirrels, because no one owns the colors. They say blue is for boys. Well, that just annoys because no one owns the colors. If sunsets go changing their outfits each night from violet, peach, turquoise, all glowing with light, then I can wear butterscotch or scarlet even. I'll copy the trees and I'll change with the season. For colors exist everywhere, every day. No one can say just for us as they play or assign them to right or wrong tones, good or bad. If anyone tells you other than that, ask them. Do ocean waves argue with sky over blue? Do chameleons have only one color to use? Does red avoid yellow and try not to touch? Or do they unite to make neon orange crush? All creatures on earth are their own special shade. Each fur tone and skin tone is uniquely made. From ginger to tawny to apricot pie, the shades of our clothes, of our skin, of our eyes. There are colors we're made of and colors we choose. So, what is the name of the color of you? And what does it feel like? Bold, shy, brand new? For all of those colors, I also can be. If you look with your heart, then I think you will see that the colors of me and the colors of you all come from the same glowing planet. It's true. And whether the color is olive or jet, cobalt, or licorice, mauve, or violet, indigo, marigold, teal, or bright white, when they fill you with joy, they'll always be right. We're all part of nature. It's how we unite. And nature is dressed in the best colored light. The colors of sunsets and squirrels and trees, the colors of seasons and shimmering seas, the colors of you and the colors of me, just like the rainbow, are truly and naturally free. Because no one owns the colors. Thank you.
I invite you to imagine holding a ball of light. It might be a glass ball reflecting the light of the sun, not too hot, just warm and comforting to your touch. It might be a beach ball, light and airy and colorful, or any other ball that you can imagine. Just imagine it. You don't have to you can just imagine. You can use your hands if it helps. As your body is comfortable, as you breathe in, raise that ball to the sky, toward the sun. Imagine your ball absorbing the warmth and light of the sun, warm, cozy, comforting. As you breathe out, lower that ball to your belly, soaking in the warmth and light. Breathe. Feel your hand on your tummy. Feel it going out and in and out. Once more, as you breathe in, Raise your ball to the sky toward the moon and stars, the cool and quiet night sky, stars glowing in the vastness of space. Imagine your ball absorbing the coolness and quiet of the night. As you breathe out, lower your ball, that ball to your belly, soaking in the cool and quiet of the night. You might want to place it right in front of your belly. One last time, as you breathe in, raise your ball to the sky, toward all the planets and solar systems and galaxies out in the vast and beautiful universe. Imagine that ball connected to the vastness, absorbing the mystery and beauty of space. Imagine. As you lower the ball to your belly, soak in the mystery and beauty of the universe. Breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. As Tab lifted up in our joys and concerns, breathe in the gratitude for this day, for this earth, for this community, for this life. We pray in gratitude for this day, for this earth, for this community, for this life. We pray, blessed be.
Listen more often to things and to beings. Listen more often to things and to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things and to beings. Listen more often to things and to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things and to be. to be. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
There are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are 1,000 ways to go home again. 13th century Sufi poet Rumi, translated and interpreted. And there are 1,000 ways to be creative. The theme for the month of June is the spirit of creativity. And here comes the etiology. The word creativity comes to us from the Latin word creatus, meaning to bring forth, produce, procreate, beget, or cause. A word related to another Latin word, crescere, meaning to arise, to be born, increase, and to grow. So to be creative is to both bring something forth and help something to grow. It is an act that is by its very nature the antithesis of the horrible destruction we are seeing in the world and the detainment of people just like ourselves. I have observed that the theories of creativity tend to divide into three camps. Creativity as pain. That's the struggle through the mires of the unconscious mind, the arduous journey of the chosen few to whom the muse has called to the further reaches of the soul. So I'm thinking of Picasso or even Van Gogh. Creativity, the second is creativity as child's play, the whimsical path of those childlike free spirits who have time and resources to enjoy the arts for the sheer pleasure and personal growth. Creativity as child's play. And then there's a third, creativity as everyday life, a creativity that is universal, available to all humanity, and as necessary to our daily being as food, shelter, and air. It is the fuel of the soul in all activities, including work and leisure. Today, I'm speaking about that everyday creativity as spiritual practice. Although I was deeply drawn into the writings about famous artists and the painful struggle of the artists to find redemption, I found my own philosophy was more akin to the work of Julia Cameron, as expressed in her books, The Artist Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity, and the accompanying The Artist's Way workbook. Now, I know she's produced other books, and there's one that she's produced about creativity in the elder years, and I can't wait to get into that one. Every human can access creativity in daily life and is called to exercise their innate creativity as a basic human right. It's part of us, each of us. Any act can be creative, and any act of creativity can be a spiritual act if we consciously name it so. This is spiritual. This is an expression of my soul. When I consider everyday activity, I think about how I can make something better, a little shinier, a little more sparkle. I do not make original paintings. Look at these beautiful works of art. And seldom write poems or compose songs. But I can take something ordinary and make it feel brand new. When I think about how to bring creativity into the ordinary, I think about simple things like writing new lyrics to an old song or adding something to my altar, some sparkle. day we are called to respond to beauty in the world, in another person, in a situation. Then we have the choice to help something grow or simply ignore the creative opportunities because the dishes need to be done. I often hear my husband say, "Those dishes ain't going to do themselves, Patricia." Or the emails that need to be answered. Or because we are distracted by our thoughts and our lists, and those are important too. This week, I nearly missed the lilacs growing in my own backyard and the chance to notice my spouse's gardening. He planted them earlier. He planted them a couple of years ago, so because it's my favorite flower. I nearly missed it. I was rushing to a meeting, and I nearly missed the chance to hear street artists playing original music. And when I came back, I realized that they were two people I knew. I sometimes miss the moment when a poem or lyrics or something inspiring comes welling up from my unconscious mind, like a special delivery that will not come again, at least not in that form. When I feel weighed down by the world and the unkindness of humanity, I take a moment to notice 5 things of beauty. Noticing is a creative act in itself. I notice the poem that my spouse wrote at 5 a.m. and left on my desk. I notice the rainbow reflected on the kitchen door by the morning light and how the tulips have opened up overnight. I notice the shapes of clouds floating by and how the light falls on the trees just outside my window. I notice the birds returning to build a nest near my desk, just beyond the window, under the eaves trough. When reading the newspaper, I honestly sometimes feel close to despair. Then I take a piece of paper and I start folding. I fold it into something beautiful: a bird, a boat, a crane, a butterfly. Some of these may be beyond me without visual instructions, and I brought a few books. Most of this is all online too. But I can make this. I can make a pinwheel. It's not complicated, but I can do that. Just without the instruction book or internet. Last year at this time, some of us from neighborhood attended the CUC AGM in Ottawa. The workshops were stimulating, engaging, and invited creative thinking. There were meetings as well, and meetings are bound to be a lot of words and PowerPoints, and that's just how it goes. But I noticed some of the youth and young adults folding paper in the back rows. Later, they gave away their creations. I brought them home. Some black birds, which I gave to a couple of the kids, and some beautiful birds, and some dragons, 2 dragons, a decorative box, and a few colorful shapes. And here are the dragons. And you can come up and look at those later. And this is just a simple star. It's hard to make. Inspired by the service last week, I invite your engagement today. So take the piece of paper on your seat and make something now, in the moment, or during the week. There are lots of pieces of paper around. You can, and thank you, and thank you for your help, Josh, in putting those out. And what I would like you to do is to make something during the week. There are instructions online, and I brought a few books if you want to look at them. You might also take a piece of newspaper and turn it into something. You don't have to know, and so yeah, you're welcome to do that now. Just play with it, because sometimes it's hard to just sit and listen and listen. We can do both. You don't have to know how to use paints or paper to be an artist. Creation is something we do with our very living. We can be creative in relationships, for example, or our activism, our parenting, our jobs, our routines. Imagine what would happen if the first thing in the morning you intentionally asked yourself, how can I be creative today? What is it that I want to create today? Maybe it's a joyful play for yourself, a moment of joyful play for yourself, or a surprise you want to give another person. One day it might be fixing or solving a nagging problem. Another day it might be more tangible, making something or fixing something. Or you might want to create a plan and set it in motion. It might be something you had to do anyway, but now you've transformed the task by seeing it as an act of creativity. For example, I used to put off doing those dishes, which I mentioned, the dishes that ain't going to do themselves, until I realized that I could do them with musical accompaniment. And not just any accompaniment. I did the dishes this week with Roy Orbison, the musician. While Roy was hitting the high notes, I did the backup, sha-la-la-la-la. The dishes got done, and I felt closer to Roy. I believe there is a middle ground between the driven Picassos and the playful Peter Pans of the world. There is a place for ordinary people who find ways of doing the most mundane tasks in an innovative way. I conceptualize creativity as that fire down below, which brings energy. You feel it here. And brings energy and light to a journey, whether it is the dark night of the soul or a trip to the grocery store. Each of us can invent a life of greater meaning and authenticity through the practice of ordinary creativity. I'm delighted that some of you are working with that piece of paper. There are lots of them around. It is through creativity that we find our way back to our souls. We return to the home of our soul, not by crawling across the desert on our hands and knees, but through daily exercises as simple as a walk in the park or folding pieces of paper together. In 1997, I was on a roll. My world was an ongoing festival of creativity and of creation and celebration. Everything seemed to be coming my way. A book contract came through, and the long-awaited baby. Pregnancy, birth became a reality. Friends and colleagues gathered around and brought casseroles. I birthed a baby and a book in 1 year without leaving home. In 1998, the next year, my world came apart. My mother died. Wilburn left his job in Buffalo, New York, and took an academic job just south of Pittsburgh, far from home. He left, I stayed. Months later, I was finally able and willing to move to Pittsburgh to join him, and brought Donovan, of course. I felt that everything was gone. Everything. Family, friends, my job, my dance groups, my women's groups, my poetry group. One day I began to write out on pieces of little bits of paper the parts of my life that seemed lost. I carefully put each piece in the small gift box a friend had given that was beautifully illustrated. I put them in there for safekeeping until I could once again find my home. Later, I would revive each piece, and there were several. I also created an altar in a tiny corner of one room. The box sat on my altar as I created a new life in a new place. That simple act of creation kept me sane and symbolized hope. It was as if my soul was contained in that small box until I could find my way again. What creative acts have saved your soul in a time of despair? Sometimes our lives depend on it, and other times we create just to have fun or make a sad song a little better. A shameless reference to Hey Jude. The good news is that we can all gladden our days through small creative acts, writing, drawing, designing, rearranging, rethinking a narrative, approaching a problem in a new way, taking a new path home, changing a routine, finding the words to mend a broken heart. Some examples come to mind in our own neighborhood community. And I think we heard some examples during Joys and Concerns. Someone designed a new website that is both artistic and practical, and I find it very accessible. Someone showed us a better way of using the microphone. Someone recorded and edited the service last week, and I'm looking at him. Someone wrote a script for today's service and set up the space. Someone rode their bike to neighborhood from the West End instead of driving this week. Someone made this art, and someone else curated that art. It needed to be hung in a special way. Someone found words of comfort to comfort another who felt alone and picked up the phone. Someone handcrafted a card of gratitude and sent it. Someone found a stone with an image of a landscape. Well, actually, part of the creativity was being able to see the image in the stone. Wrote a card and put it in my mailbox at my home. I would never have seen that landscape had she not seen it. Beautiful. There are many possibilities for expression, 1,000 ways to kiss the ground. This week, I challenge you to do just this. Expand your concept of creativity by doing something so simple it feels like child's play. Make something. Do something routine in a new way. Help someone or something to grow. Find a new way to do something old. You might experiment with a new way to relate to someone in your life. So take that piece of paper and make something. Make something out of it. Make up a story about what you create. Make up a story about that dragon or that star. And then come back and we'll talk about it during the service, part 2. And during the service, and I will make space for 4 or 5 people to share their creation and their words during the service. I was going to close with these words, but I think I'm going to change it up. Blessed are those who tell stories. Blessed are you who come here today and helped to create sacred space. Blessed are you, blessed are we in our togetherness. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Pat. Now is the time for our offertory. You can be generous in creative ways too. Some of our members give shares in companies. Some of our members donate PTZ cameras. But sharing of ourselves is part of every faith, and volunteer efforts are essential, but the rents and the salaries are paid with your contributions. So I'm going to ask the greeters to pass the baskets. Whether you're online or here in the sanctuary, you can use the link displayed on the screen, which leads you to our donation page on our website. In all ways, I ask you to be generous. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our own lives within it. So we'll pause now and Gregory will play. I love when giving money can be a creative event. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good. I invite you to rise and sing.
Will guide us, peace astride us, on beside us. Look away from the road, way to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Sing like angels. If you cannot sleep for thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace inside us, hope inside us. Lead the way.
I'd like to invite Katerina back up to extinguish our chalice. We have a tradition of holding hands and forming a circle, and I see you doing that now. If you're at the ends, just reach for those farther from you, and I'm going to leave the final words to Reverend Pat.
Okay, thanks, Gordon. With faith in the creative powers of life, with hope for the future of life in this world, with love for all others who share this life with us, let us go forward together in peace. Our meeting has ended. Let our service begin. Words of Lindsay Bates. Our service has ended. Go in peace. Return in love.